Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We got a TNA for you that's going to be a full recap of Rome Fest that I can't believe it's already been a week since we got back.
Right.
It went so fast, so quick, and I've just been on the move since too, so it really feels like I just got back, like, kinda now, where I
Yes.
actually have some time, a couple weeks, or I'm in one place. Oh, you came in and out. Um, I can't see Amber right now, but she did just flash by. Are you in your robe on your bed?
I sure as shit am, elevating my knee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would love that for you if it weren't the given circumstances. Do
No.
you want to give us, Amber, a little update on what is going on since you just got home? Well, that just happened since you got home from Rome?
Yeah, I got sick. That was shitty, and then my son turned 10. That was awesome. And then, yeah, just been putzing around the house because I moved in with my boyfriend right before we left, and so just been dialing things in at home and yeah, settling in, and then last night I went to the dog park with my friend and her gigantic puppies, and they bashed into my knee, and now I'm all laid up and broken.
Mm. I hate this for you because Rome was, like, such a high and good thing and so fun, and you kind of got home and went instantly into some shit. Like you said, I mean, Quincy had his birthday turn 10, you got to spend time with him, but, like, the day after getting back from Rome, you were, like, ill.
Yes.
And it's so crazy. I mean, what did that last for you? A day, 2 days?
Oh, I'm still hacking shit up. Like, it's still kinda lingering. Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, yep, but I'm back now.
Eh. Yeah, it's still hanging on.
Yeah, you sound a little snuffly still, so
Oh.
that's just the pits, and then for this to happen with your knee that you've already had surgery on, that just is not great. I hate that
No,
you
what a
kinda came
bummer.
home to some bullshit.
Yeah, but I got to celebrate my boy's 10th birthday, and that was amazing. We had a bunch of boys over here, 10-year-old boys, and they were running around like crazy and playing, and it was good to see him be himself around his peers, and, his best bud came, made an
Oh,
appearance.
good, he got to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah, so very glad that his best buddy got to come because they both, transitioned to different schooling situations this year. Quincy went to a new school, and then Joseph and his family are doing homeschooling, so glad they got to connect, and then we all went out to the buffet, and my sister and nephews showed up, and Sam's sister and her family showed up, and it was really great. It wasn't my favorite restaurant. I'm not the biggest fan of the buffet, but Quincy loves it, and so we all went and chowed down, and there was a lovely Polynesian baby shower going on in the big room next door, so
Oh,
people were getting hype, and yeah, it was just awesome. We had a really good celebration, and I cannot believe he is 10. Time flies.
unbelievable. Unfreaking believable that he's into the double digits.
Dude. Yeah, he's a full-on big kid now,
Yeah.
and I asked him if he missed me while I was gone, and he was like, "No, it was actually kinda good to have some time away," and I'm like, "Okay." 'Cause I missed you like crazy, my guy, but he's right. It was good to have time away from each other, and it was good for Sam, my boyfriend, and Quincy to spend time with each other, and it was just all around good and great.
That's amazing. I mean, it was lovely to see kinda some of that go on or, the behind the scenes of at being at Rome with you and you can going through this, working through all of this for the first time, like leaving Quincy with someone who is not one of his parents,
Yeah.
and Sam, leaving him with Quincy too, and just like I could tell that there was some nerves and anxiety at times that you were like on kind of guard, on call, like ready at any moment of like putting out a fire virtually or something. But to
Yeah.
hear everything they did together and see just literally the warmness in you when you'd get an update of something that they were, like, doing together, I was like, as an outsider, I also felt like, "This feels so natural, like, you guys have all done this before," and
Yeah.
I just felt that it really put you at ease each time there was an update, but 'cause I could tell that it was still something, like, on your mind always, and just missing them both because for
Yeah.
you so for us, it was our first Rome Fest experience, right? Well, the first time we've ever been, it was amazing, so wonderful. There's literally like hard to put into words, but there was also other firsts in that for you as well, like just going to Utah and Colorado in general. And so seeing and experiencing that stuff, I know you also wanted to be able to share that with them too. So part of
Yeah.
that or a piece of that is, like, missing your people that you wanna experience these things with, because that's always hard, and I mean, I had been to, like, Moab before, and I did those trips solo before, but I don't know, being around you 2 and knowing, like, how badly you wanted those 2 to be there to see it with you someday and whatnot, did make me think more of, like, "Oh, yeah, I would like to experience these things, like, with
Yeah.
Andrew, even though, like I said, I've been there before, but we don't get out of Tahoe together a lot, and I'm just used to kinda doing those things solo that
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's anything missing, but I just don't think about it, like, as much, but I could feel
Yeah.
it, like, tugging at your heartstrings for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like, Sam and Mai's relationship is still new, and when you're away from your kids, you always miss them.
Mhm,
But, like, you guys have been together for a long time, and you're always on the go, like, always driving here, driving there. I'm, like, truly impressed with your capability to be able to drive for miles and miles and miles. Because, like, the first stretch that we did, which was picking me up from the airport in Reno all the way over to Utah, I was like, "Damn, bro, my back was hurting." Like, it was just a and, like, I get car sick pretty bad, so it's not like I can, like, stare at a phone or watch a movie. Like,
mhm,
I have to be, like, facing forward or I will not feel well. So I'm glad I didn't get too car sick.
mhm.
And yeah, you hammered it out like a savage, dude. Just drove the whole way.
Yeah, I don't know, where it comes from, it's so funny for me sometimes, I really have to think about other people's experiences with, like, what a long distance drive is,
Yeah.
and because for me, like, 12 hours, yeah, is a long haul. That's from here to Washington or from here to Moab. And I've done it so many times from here to Washington in just one push. And like, I'm not sitting here saying that's not a long drive, but that is like top end for me. So I feel like 8 hours, I'm like, oh, piece of fucking cake. Like, that's
Yeah.
nothing. And 6 hours is even more exciting. Like, oh, yeah, that's a great drive. And then, like, going to the Bay Area here from Tahoe is, like, 3.5 hours, and that, feels like comparison to like, a half hour or 45-minute drive to
Yeah.
what some others would think, like, "Oh, yeah, that's not even anything I can, like, complain about," or be like, "Oh, yeah, what a long drive." Like, that's just a regular commute, even though, again, it's not like I do those all the time or anything, but with my reference kinda being at 12 hours as a long drive, that's where my
Yeah.
scale goes. It's from, like, 3 to 12 hours, 3 being short, 12 being, like, the long, and I don't want to do more than that, but I definitely have pulled 13 and 14-hour days, but those have been when there's, like, a lot of stops. I mean, it's still the distance itself should be, like, 12 hours, but having to stop or stopping for whatever reasons in that, like, I don't know what Moab ended up being because I did that push on the way back from Moab straight home, and since I stopped in Reno and had dinner with Andrew and a friend, and I didn't really look at the exact, like, hourly time, but it was good. It went by actually pretty quick. I was doing
It
quite
seemed that
well,
way.
and I think that was because also it was much earlier, like, because we got a decent start in the morning, and it was still and then we got an hour back coming west that it was nice and light out until I
Yeah.
got to, like, Reno for dinner, was, like, just starting to get kind of dusky or whatnot, so that always helps stay awake a little bit more too. Once it gets dark, then you're like, "Ooh, it's hard to to keep
Can't
going."
see. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so you mentioned something with Quincy and his birthday party that I feel like hit really kind of the topic of this conversation with Rome, in how you loved seeing him just, like, be himself around his peers.
Mhm.
And when you said that, I was like, that's absolutely how I felt the whole vibe was at Rome
Yeah.
too, and something incredible that we just experienced out in the real, like, world and wild, and how everyone there just showed up as their true authentic self, and there was no, like, question or fear. And obviously I'm generalizing here because I'm sure there's plenty of people who showed up and still have feelings, of un being unsure about themselves or environment or whatever, but what I felt was that there was so much comfort and individuality there, and, I mean, I rode with my tits out, so I
Yeah,
felt
baby.
the comfort of showing up as I am. And, yeah, there was a lot of internal thoughts during that naked ride that that Boot Tan Fest put on, but I was able to at least kinda talk myself out of those normal, like, things that go on in my head in that environment because of what Rome created. And I just think that's so cool that coming from that and then you getting to see that happen in Quincy,
Yeah.
has gotta be super cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that tie-in. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah, it was just overwhelmingly, like I said, at Rome, so just, energizing. Like, even though I also at the same time, there's so much energy going around, I did feel pretty fucking depleted by the time that we even got there, and I
Yeah.
don't know, I've been trying to think about it, and I'm not sure if it's because of all the buildup that there was getting to Rome, just, like, the months of planning, of organizing, plus the drive. We took 2 days to get there. So if you guys haven't listened to our podcast about, like, the day before Rome, we drove from, as Amber said, like, picked her up in Reno, drove to Utah, just like the most western border of Utah, spent the night at some hot springs there, and then we drove 4 more hours into Moab, and we got there pretty early in the day. We hung out around the hotel we were at and grabbed some food in town, and then we the next day went into Arches National Park, hiked to the Delicate Arch, and then hit the road to Fruita, which was only an hour and a half away. But I mean, just a lot going on in those 2
Yeah.
days. And yeah, I guess the best way I kinda describe how I felt that weekend, like, once we got there, and on Friday especially, I was wrecked, but it's kinda like an adrenaline crash. Like, I had all this adrenaline leading up to Rome, and it all kinda came to a head, like, Friday morning or Thursday night, which there was still, like I said, so much good energy and amazing things happening during the weekend, but I just, like, couldn't hang on as well as I wanted to anymore, like, mentally or physically. Saturday, I felt a lot better for sure than
Yeah.
Friday, but my energy levels were not necessarily where I wanted them to be at Rome. But I also think what that allowed for me to do, honestly, was, like, take a lot more in than maybe I would
Yes.
have otherwise.
Yep. I feel the exact same way, and not to mention, like, Thursday when we got there, it was hot as shit.
Yeah.
It was so hot, and we had to all of us had to, like, set up our tents and get things ready, and honestly, that was my first time ever working of an event.
Mhm.
period. So I didn't even know what the heck to expect and, like, what was going on and trying to figure out where we were gonna camp, within Rome and just all this other stuff, and also, like, not to mention, you packed everything. Like, you packed everything, all my camping stuff, all your camping stuff, the tent, the drinks for Saturday night, like, all the gear, all the giveaway stuff, like, that's a lot, my friend.
Yeah,
That's a
there
lot.
I mean, literally, you guys, again, I don't know how much we may have mentioned it in the like, the pre-ride episode or pre-Rome episode, but there was, like, not an inch of space
No.
left in that truck, I tell you, not a comfortable inch anyways. It was freaking loaded to the brim. Like Amber said, we had giveaway stuff, so I'm gonna use this to segue slightly into just thanking some of those people, the partners that we had that gave us the
Oh,
giveaway
yeah.
items and, like, helped us get to Rome, because without them, I mean, we had our tent and that was good and great, but it was really lovely to have something for people to kinda hang out at the tent for longer and learn just more conversation starters and whatnot and get people into the
Yes.
Tearing It Up community, and, we had a couple gift cards from Title IX, we had a mega auto mat from Xped. This thing is a $430 sleeping pad, like, it means fucking business, and then we also had
Yeah.
the mega mat, like, ultra light new sleeping pad that doesn't even come out till the spring in the giveaway, so that was more of like a backpacking, lighter weight camping sleeping pad, but still super thick and great. That's, I think, what you closer to a version of what you slept on. This one was a
Yep.
little bit lighter weight than that one, but still, like, inches thick. I mean, so amazing and great.
Yep.
Salsa and Shredly also contributed to us getting there. Tahoe Mountain Sports hooked us up with a Goal Zero charging station, and then Saris hooked us up with the Edge 2 bike rack because we brought 3 bikes with us. So I had my gravel bike and my mountain bike, and then we had Amber's bike, which she flew with, tucked away, tucked on top in a bike bag, which, we got put back together. On top of the amazing brands that helped us get to Rome, I have to shout out our very first podcast sponsor, No Patches. What's really cool about Noso is they take it beyond just fixing gear. They lean into flair, decoration, and self expression. Noso has always been about adding flair to make your gear feel more you. I love this idea, especially on some pieces of gear that might be feeling a little blah, like hats, packs, and literally anywhere you can stick one. You may have heard Kelly and I talk about their Dazzit domes when she was on the pod, or you may have seen me rocking mine out and about, or even here on the video episodes. Creating my own hat with handpicked patches was something I didn't know I'd have so much fun with, and now it's made me want to add flair to so much more. The patches themselves are no so, hence the name, waterproof, and honestly, just fun. They've done collabs with Patagonia, Free People, and artists like Lisa Congdon, so there's literally a patch for everyone in every style. Whether it's for flair or repair, head to nosopatches.com and use the code FLARINITUP for 15% off. That's FLARINITUP, flaring it up for when you literally tear it up. Or again, just want to have some fun. It's some parts of me with Rome, I'm like, God, I really wish there was another one, because being our first time and showing up there as a vendor, not knowing what to expect as a festival goer and or vendor, like nothing in the first place, like this one was a huge learning experience, and so there's so many
Yes.
things that I'm like, "Okay, if we were to do this next year, like, this is how I'd like to show up and in this capacity," and just knowing for sure what we needed or didn't need,
Yes.
but we went in 100% overprepared, but I'd rather be overprepared than under.
A million.
So it
I
was
think I think it was just right, honestly.
I love that, I love that. I mean, I felt bad because about the bike situation and you bringing your bike from I was like, "Man, maybe I should have, like, done some more research here, and we should have asked more questions to see if she really needed to bring this," but you did learn a lot
Oh
from
my god,
Casey, right?
dude. I'm glad I did it because now I know. Like, the me who was putting my bike in that bag the night before I flew out to meet you in Reno, to me now knowing how to torque my handlebar uh, screws, you know what I mean? And, like, make sure I don't take my derailleur off and totally fuck up my chain, and, like, I really got to know my bike, I really got to know what it's like to actually pack a bike, and I really got to know Casey, and, like, bless her sweet heart and all of her knowledge. She just, like, I mean, my bike, when I had it when I put it in there to I mean, she just, like, there was no judgment. She was just
Yeah.
like, "Oh," you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
she just didn't even bat an eye and was just like, "Okay, let's figure this out." And so she handed me the tools. I did most of the work myself. Um, yeah, I learned so much and I know my bike better now, and I think it was a great experience and I'm glad I did it. And shout the fuck out to Casey, my queen from Live, the mechanic who I love so much. She's amazing and she has all sorts of awesome tools and is just like such a beautiful spirit. I am just so in love with her. She's amazing.
I
She's really
love
incredible.
hearing that. That makes me feel so good too that you all in all are glad that you went through the process because,
Absolutely.
yeah, and just, like, getting to meet Casey in person, so she did an episode with us, we called it "Ride What You Got: Purpose, Pivots, and Building a Life That Fits" with Casey, and, I met her at Sea Otter, we did some YouTube videos, some quick how-tos, but yeah, her energy is just so amazing and really makes you feel so capable and, like you said,
Yes.
non-judged, like, she may have a million thoughts in her head of, like, "Why on earth would you ever think you needed to, like, do this or that or something?" But she doesn't
Yep.
let any of that show, and I think it's especially because she does work with so many women who range from, like, beginner to intermediate, like, all so many different people, but when you're someone who's worked with a lot of beginners, I feel like it's a lot easier to not have that judgment because you
Yep.
know all that you've gone through, like, almost every probably silly question or thing that someone might have or do, so nothing is probably even a surprise to her
Yeah.
anymore, that it's like, "Yeah, this is nothing I haven't seen before, so no judgment," while meanwhile, you might be beating yourself up of like, "How could I have done this?" or "Why would I do that?" or whatever, and she's just there like, "Oh, I've seen worse," or something.
Yep. We got this, and she has all the coolest tools, and it's just so warm and grounding and amazing, and big, big shout out to Casey. What a queen.
I love it, and I feel like there was a lot of, workshops and things that went on around Rome that probably elicited similar feelings to people. There was, like, bleed your own brakes with Juliana. There were skills rides with Venture Birds and Live and so many other things going on all weekend that I really hoped to get to do more of myself, but just seeing him on the schedule and seeing people walk around and talk about him after, I was just amazing to me to know that, again, they just created this amazing environment all weekend where you never would feel, like, alone or left out
Yeah.
or behind.
Yes. And held and not judged. And it's just like, I think that the thing for me that felt the best going to Rome and then coming back into the real world was the amount of people who, like, whatever the fuck's going on in the world right now would get brought up, and people would be like, "Nope, we're not going to talk about that here." And it was just so amazing to leave all that behind and
Mhm,
just be held in such a sacred place
mhm.
that is just, like, filled with, like, love and laughter and education and good rides and good vibes, and it was just so incredible to just leave the rest of the world behind and enter Rome and be in this beautiful desert space, and, like, our neighbors, were neighbored with Sierra and Jenny from Boot Tan Fest, and, like, lo and behold, little did we know that they were just, like, little celebrities in their community, you know what I mean? And, like, just the realest, illest, down to earth chicks, and it was just so great to, like, just show up not knowing who a lot of these people are and then leaving and being like, "Oh my gosh, that's this person," and, like, seeing Chelsea from Red Bull Rampage just walking around and being like, "Holy shit, that's, like, the holy grail of mountain bike chick
Yeah.
riders," and she's just walking around and she taught, I think she did, like, a jump,
Mhm.
workshop, and so it was just real, or, like, even talking to, like, Marley when she was like, "Oh, I'm a celebrity in this community," and it's like, "No, you reach so much further than just this community," like, there's so many incredible women doing so amazing things, and it was just awesome to see them there as themselves, authentically, just, like, in the desert, tired, wired, dancing, it was just so amazing.
It was, really, and 'cause it just everyone feeling like there was no veil there kind of thing, and there's not many
Yeah,
places or times these days where you can get away from everything, right? There's noise all the fuck around us,
yes.
and it's hard to not talk about what's going on because, like, obviously, 1, we don't want to be naive or ignorant and ignore what's going on, not at all, and I think all of our listeners fucking know that, and that's not the point of it, but everyone needs a break once in a while through the bullshit that's going on, and to be in a place where you could be surrounded by so many people that you just it didn't have to come up, right? You could just talk about other things and feel
Yep,
good and not get bombarded by the news or the feed because service was limited out there, and even when you had it, I feel like so many people were there, right? We're present and we're experiencing it because we don't often get the chance to be able to truly disconnect and unplug from what's going on outside of us, and we could just really be, like, as cheesy as it sounds, like, there with each other and to get
right.
to experience it, and, I mean, I just met so many awesome people, like, new people, people whom I've just emailed with, so putting, like, a face to the name or, legs
Yeah,
legs and arms and a real hug too. It was
yeah,
really cool, and it's always special, and I just feel like in-person events are so important and incredible and community building and just reground you in as busy and crazy as it all was. I still felt, like, pretty refreshed from it. I mean, granted, I did go straight into just, like, 2 full days of work and then off to Pitch Fest, but I feel like it gave me that energy to keep going into the next thing, which was a
yeah,
little more, like, business oriented, but still had a very grounded community vibe, and I've just been, like, yeah, riding a big high since Rome Fest and into Pitch Fest of feeling so inspired by all the amazing women, whether they're, like, in the outdoor or bike industry or if, like, just in the community, like, so whether it's business or just personal, it all felt so inspiring and motivating and just to continue to be involved in those communities and show
yeah,
up. It just a absolute amazing weekend, and I always when I'm trying to think about it and reflect on it, I keep coming back to the episode that we had with Sam when we talked about Rome in the first place and just her explanation of it all of, like, there's just yeah, putting words to it is just so hard. It's like a feeling, and it's like, it
yeah,
truly is, and I just wanna, like, figure out how everyone can experience that kind of feeling.
yes, and
Be
have a community that
Yep.
just holds you
Yeah.
and where you feel safe and protected, and it was just incredible to see the amount of people who need that
Mhm, mhm.
and who
Who
found it,
want it,
and
yeah.
yes, and, like, all the mentor programs, like, that I forget the gal's name, but she came into our booth and hung out for a little bit. She was friends with, um, Thre Threads and Common Threads.
Oh,
I wanna say her name
Sabrina.
Sabrina,
Yeah,
yes,
because she
and
was doing the Media Corps, program with Rome, the Rome Media Corps program, so she was a mentee of a gal, and I don't know how many people there were, but it's an awesome program that Rome puts on for aspiring media photographer, videographer ladies in the outdoor action sport, world.
Yeah. And that was just so incredible. I had no idea, and to just, like, talk to her about what's going on in LA and then talk to other people about what's going on in Colorado. It's just like it really expanded my world, and I'm just so grateful for it because I feel oftentimes that I just get so caught up in my little world here in the Pacific Northwest. And it's just good to expand and talk to other people and be like, what's going on in your community? What brought you here? And, like, just it was just so, 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 so great,
I know.
and
Because I feel like we're just, like, on repeat of, like, it was just so great, and, like, you had to be there.
yeah, 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 but it's true.
But,
Like,
like, for
Friday
real.
like, the video f so Friday night, they had, like, a movie night, and they played a few movies. The first movie was, this woman who is teaching people who are, like, in their 50s, 60s, 70s how to ride a bike and how to feel that freedom for the first time in their entire lives at the age of 60, and there were a few movies in between, and then the final movie was of Chelsea and her journey through Red Bull Rampage, and it just was a really great example of, like, you can just be starting out riding your bicycle for for the first time in your life in your 50s, 60s, 30s, whatever. And you can also be a complete fucking badass who's building jumps out in the desert and riding all this hardcore shit. And it's all the same. It all stems to like down to the bike, literally, no pun intended. And
Yeah.
it just bikes give so much freedom. It's such a simple machine and it's been around for forever and it just is the best. Bikes
It
are the best.
it truly is, and I mean, that, film with the lady teaching others how to bike was I mean, I think that brought, like, everyone to te I mean, I think a lot of them brought people to tears in different ways, but that was just a great way, I feel like, to start it off of, like, the kind of meaning that bikes can even have, right?
Yeah.
And then the other film too was, gosh, I should have remembered her name, but it was a woman who was a 300-pound woman and had lost a bunch of
Yes.
weight, but even so was, like, looked at as a, just bigger human and, maybe someone who couldn't be doing the things that she was doing, but she just always lived this life, being a bigger bodied human that people didn't really, like, believe in her or look at her a certain way, and even now, like, since she is not what the stereotypical endurance athletic person is, but she's out there doing fucking incredible, incredible things, and, like, hearing her
Yeah.
story and kinda journey from losing all this weight and, like, having these major accomplishments, but still dealing with the people, the things that don't believe in her, and even just sometimes maybe herself was just, everything just hit a heartstring there, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Especially that one, because I feel like the ride that she was doing was the Divide, which is where you start in either Canada or Mexico and ride all the way across the United States through the Rockies and, like, thousands and thousands of miles of elevation gain, and it just showed her struggle. All of her it displayed her struggles and also her accomplishments, and yeah, I forgot about that one for a second. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I feel like, again, with all 3 of 'em, I think there was just 3, but they all
Mhm.
hit different points, but I feel like every person there could resonate from each one of them, and that was Friday night, like, it was a great way to kinda start off the weekend and really feel, for lack of a better word, but, like, empowered
Yeah,
to be on your bike and to be there surrounded by all these, like, femme identifying people that, "Hey, we're just out here wanting to ride our fucking bikes."
yeah, yeah, and
But
have a good time and make connections and hold space for people who in the real world don't get a whole lot of space held for.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like we've mentioned, this day and age too, with so much going on, there's a lot of other communities who are feeling it a lot more than what we as white middle class cis women feel. And I don't think there's ever going to be a way that we can truly understand all of it, but it just felt like at least for that little bit of time that everyone had a space where they could connect with others who do understand them.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, we met some of the deaf shredders, which
Yeah.
was super cool. I don't again, it's just another kind of inspiring thing and just I felt like I was really able to try and put myself in other people's shoes and just get a look
Yes.
into a tiny, tiny, tiny shred of a look into what it is they might be dealing with on the daily basis, and it's just yeah, it just reminded me a lot that throughout the daily everyday life that things are a lot easier than sometimes they feel, right? And maybe I need to
Yep.
put myself in check a little more often when like, in the thick of things and kinda think about what's going on around me, or, again, how I can be involved in other communities around me to help them feel more included, and we had this conversation in gosh, months ago because it was during one of the modules of the Futurist project, kinda talking about inclusivity and whatnot, and me and, like, the breakout group, I had a couple gals, I remember us talking about how sometimes like, when you feel like a fixer, right? Or you wanna be a fixer, you wanna provide solutions and things, but sometimes, like, you are not the right person to do it,
Love that.
and that can be kind of an interesting place to navigate where, like, I wanna how do I help, people of a marginalized community when I'm not from a well, whatever your definition of marginalized community is, like, we as women 100% are, but there's much more marginalized communities too. So, yeah, how do you help another one when you're not from it and not feel like especially as, again, bringing it up, the white cis middle class woman of not feeling the you're the white savior
Yeah.
and or the able-bodied savior or the whatever fucking put a name to it. How do I get involved, try to help spread inclusivity in these communities without just feeling like I'm, yeah, trying to be the person who saves the day or something, like, where am I needed? How can I help? And I mean, I think that just all starts with conversations, and it depends on who you're getting what groups you're getting involved with and how you approach it, right? Like, coming from that true place of authenticity in doing it, like, it will be sniffed out real easily if you're just doing it to try and get, some clout or something, but,
Yep.
yeah, it just made me think a lot of how can I help these communities that I'm not directly in, but I wanna help support, and I just think that's something that's gonna be continuing for me to try to think about and figure out, and that could absolutely be from the sidelines by sharing events or, one day I really hope to be in a position that this podcast does make any kind of money at all that I can put it back into other communities somehow through scholarships for events or I don't know, in so many different fucking ways, but it's all very much a huge work in progress and figuring out how I can fucking give back to anything at all right now.
Mhm, mhm. The time will come.
Yes, it will. But it was just
I
yeah.
honest
Go
I
ahead.
never even, like, considered the deaf community, and, like, when they came up to our booth and we're like, "Oh, we're a podcast," and they're like, "Oh, I'm deaf," and I'm just like it blew my mind because I was like, "Holy shit, what how do they listen to podcasts?" And, like, with podcasts, it's so much is just your voice, just audio, it's just audio, and, like, when we were introduced to the Death Shutters, I was just like, "Holy shit," and then also dancing with them at the
Mhm.
dance party, I'm like, "How are you" like, they were dancing
Good
to the beat,
singing. Yeah.
to the rhythm, they were singing, and I'm just like, "What?" It just blew me out of the water and also really put me in their shoes, and we tried very hard to practice our ASL and to communicate with them, and I mean there's a lot of times where, like, I've waited on deaf people in the food service industry, and I just, like I didn't really try hard, because you can just, like, point to words and things, but this time I was like, "No, let's really try."
Mhm.
And so I feel like by the end of our time there, because we kept on running into them throughout the weekend, like, I was remembering my ABCs. I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is how I spell my name," and all this other kinda stuff, and it's such ASL is such an incredibly powerful tool, to have under your belt, and I think more people should explore that.
Absolutely. I know we were both really, like, fired up and wanting to learn more because I've learned just a tiny, tiny bit, but like you said, there it was when you started spelling your name, it's like, "Oh, wow, I'm unlocking, like, buried memories of at some point learning this," and I think it really was just like the alphabet for me, and I can't even tell you when, but it was like M and certain things that I was like, "Oh, yeah, wow, flashback," but, um I and so Salsa had put on a clinic or workshop, with the deaf shredders with some mountain bike, like, ASL signs, signals, and common ones anyways, and I thought that was really cool and amazing, and I hadn't thought about deaf mountain bikers or anything either much, and I think that's because, like, when skiing or something, there's, like, Tahoe Adaptive there's a few adaptive organizations around here, and I've seen blind skiers, and they have a vest on that says, like, "blind skier," so like, you can veer away, like, give them space and whatnot, but I think that maybe it's we don't think about the deaf community as much because it is not a visual thing. It's kind of like an autoimmune in the way that you don't see it. You cannot visibly tell that someone is deaf if you can't see a hearing aid. Even if you see a hearing aid, you don't know if a person is totally deaf or just hearing impaired or whatnot. So I
Yeah,
feel like it's something that, yeah, you don't think about that disability as much because for everything else, they're able bodied. And like I said, it's not something visibly apparent out of the gate. And the only reason that I'd been thinking about it more lately was because at Sea Otter, when I did a clinic with Ladies All Ride, I had a partner in this exercise we did who was deaf. And so she was standing there on her bike, and it was like the partner was holding the bike, and it was about body positioning and stuff. So you're standing in front of the bike, holding the bike, and the other person is on their bike and changing their body position. And so as Lindsay from Ladies All Ride is instructing and telling the riders what to do, the translator, the ASL translator for the gal I was with was right there. And, she had to be looking at her all the time. And she actually doesn't live that far from me. So we talked about how I lived in Tahoe. But in that moment too, I was like, okay, I it feels so crazy to have a translator here, like I just so badly wished I could communicate with her and that just like I guess any other language too, though, that you don't speak, that you can feel this huge void when you cannot communicate with someone and you just wanna
yeah,
be able to talk to them, and it was hard not feeling that and just feeling like, "God, how could I be better in life?" And, I wish I had this in my back pocket just to be able to, but yeah, like I said, with anyone who speaks a different language, it's not like you're gonna know every language and be able to communicate with everybody, but it was an overwhelming feeling for me to not be able to communicate in the way I wanted
yeah.
to, especially as a talker, and feel like, how do I do this? Like, I want to know about you. I wanna know more, and I can't get it out.
Yeah. And I think just trying, you know what I mean? Because they were so enthusiastic that we were just simply trying, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, they taught us a few things, and their expressions are just so beautiful, and I love it. I
I
just
know.
love ASL. It's such a beautiful language.
Yeah, they were really great, and like you said, it coming from the podcast world too and thinking like, how on earth like so we post some videos. Not every episode comes through as a video, but some of them are full videos and posted to YouTube, and I think even the audio that's posted to YouTube well, and, Apple, does closed caption, because everyone has a transcript, but obviously that comes out as just like a text document you'd have to read. It's not actually captions on the screen. But yeah, I can just all these things that made me think of like, okay, well, how could I show up as a podcast to like the deaf community? And
Yeah,
what would I have to do? Sure, they might not be as popular because you really do have to watch, but a lot of podcasts these days are video and people are watching them. Sure, maybe it's in the background sometimes, but it's it's becoming a bigger thing. So to think about like, oh, this is just another place of accessibility helps me view the idea of putting more videos out there even when they are just kind of the virtual talking heads ones because
yeah,
I've put a few of those out, I don't always like to because I'm like, "Who's gonna find this, interesting?" They're not gonna watch it, they're just gonna listen to it anyway, and now I'm like, "Well, it could matter, it definitely could matter to the person who can't just listen, and they may not really care that it's interesting like just talking heads, they're really there to hear the conversation, so posting it anyway is could be helping someone."
yeah. I agree.
But
I agree.
just so many feelings about Rome Fest, and being that it was the last one, which I kind of like, sometimes I'm like quote unquoting, and there's a lot of feelings around Rome about that. We actually did a couple like pop-up little interviews asking people how that made them feel, like being at the last Rome Fest and what Rome has meant to them overall. I'm very much still in the process of getting that piece all together. Hopefully, I can get something out this week, but it'll probably be next week, get that compilation out. But the overwhelming consensus is that there was more positive feelings around it. Not that anyone was glad that it was the last one, but just more gratitude for everything in the beginning, from Rome starting and getting to be involved in it and for it holding its space and positivity that something will continue from Rome. And yes, this is probably the end of an era and a certain chapter, and whatever happens next won't maybe look exactly like this. But there is a lot of faith that something will come, if not many more things that will come in and fill the gap that Rome will leave. And that has also left me feeling very, like, inspired and energized to see what starts to kinda come down the pipeline for people, how many maybe how much wider spread it could get, because maybe it's a lot more little events so that people have more access to this in their community, because like I mentioned, it is something that I feel like so many more people should be able to experience, and while this is a bike-centered and especially mountain bike-centered event, like, there's so many other ways in which things like this can exist for just everything.
Yeah,
Hiking, running, paddling, I don't know, just living? Like,
yeah,
how does everyone find their own Rome?
yeah. Great question.
Yeah, I think it's a that'll be an ongoing question, but I think that from everyone who has attended Rome, will be kinda asking that and trying to get that out into the world, and, Jenny from Boot Tan Fest, who was our neighbor, she has she's worked with Rome, I think last year was the first year they, like, worked together and collaborated with Boot Tan Fest, so she is still working with some of the Rome crew to put Boot Tan Fest on this year. I believe this year is gonna be the 6th or it's already been 6 years, it's 6 or 7, coming up, and that is like Rome Fest, but on snow. And I am really hoping to make it to that this year because I missed out
Ah,
last year by choosing to go to Sea Otter, which was also amazing and great, and I do not regret it. And I was just really hoping that this coming year, 2026, that they're gonna be on different weekends so I can attend because Sea Otter is a easier lift for me in that it's not very far, so I can make it there and attend, and I also know that I don't have to be there, like, every day or anything, but Boot Tan Fest, I wanna experience that community. It's kind of like how I looked at Pitch Fest and Rome Fest, where one is a lot more community centered, and while the other is still grounded in the community, there was a lot more kind of like industry business type like interactions there, all of which were very great and valuable. And I can't place one above the other. They're just different things
Mhm.
and
Yes.
different values. So I'm like, yeah, excited to hopefully make it to Boot Tan Fest and just see this community in a different environment and, yeah, be inspired again to just continue things like that or attend things like that are just doing the damn thing, making
Building
feelings.
momentum. Yep. Yep.
But
And I think we should also give another big shout out to Steph from Tits Deep for
mhm,
breast cancer because she came over to our booth and she and I had a really impactful conversation that actually brought me to tears.
mhm,
Um,
which
but
I
oh, you
haven't
go.
seen you cry much. I mean,
Yeah.
like, sure, in the 20 fucking years of friendship, yes, but when it comes to the topic of your mom too, though, you're always so strong about it, and I'd like to see you have that conversation with her was just, like, so again, like, just moving and amazing, and I felt like something you needed so bad was someone like her to be able to talk to that
Yes.
about and be able to let all that guard down and let
Yeah.
all that out that you always not saying that you hold it in, but I feel like you have been so strong about it for so long that you talking about it usually is comes a little easier than some people might think or expect or something, but it's because you've
Yeah.
lived with it for so long and you were with Steph in that moment able to, like, just let everything go.
Yeah. It felt really good. And it just like put me back to when my mom was sick and fighting cancer, this aggressive type of breast cancer that she had. And Steph, what she does with her business, her organization is she helps bring awareness and promotes early detection and just tries to get people to be aware that we all could be walking with any type of cancer and to just try to do the preventative stuff. Easier said than done. Yes, I
Mm,
know. Lord knows I want a secretary to just like schedule all my appointments for me and figure out insurance and all this other kind of shit. But it really put the emphasis that I need to get my shit together and start looking into that on my own because um it's just been on the back burner, and I mean, like, I've gotten my breast exam, but I've not gotten a mammogram. I have not done the genetic testing because it's very important to do so, and she
mhm.
just, like, really brought that home for me. And something that I didn't tell you about yet was this couple that I met at the airport when I was leaving Utah. I went to the Uinta brewing restaurant that's in the airport, and I sat next to this guy, and I'm not gonna lie, I came out of Rome Fest being like, "Oh, yeah, we live in a world where men exist." And I
Yeah.
had this bias where I was like, "Ugh, men." Um, and I feel bad for that, I really do. However, I sat next to this man and he was very friendly and pretty boisterous and like we got to talking and his partner was on the other side of him and I started talking to her about what brought them to Utah and all this other kind of stuff and he was talking about how he recently got into mountain biking um and the woman and I started to talk and she was telling me that she recently fought breast cancer and won.
Wow.
And I think it, like, was, like she's been in remission for, like, 5 years, and we started talking a little bit more. Her boyfriend had, like, went to the bathroom, and that's when she opened up to me about breast cancer, or her breast cancer journey. She got both her breasts removed, and it turns out so the boyfriend comes back, and it turns out that he was the one who found it. He
Wow.
found it on her chest, and he was like, "You need to get this checked out." And she was like, "Oh, no, it's fine," as we freaking do, just
Mhm.
brush stuff off because we're like, "There's no way, blah, blah, blah." Anyways, he was like, "No, you need to go get this looked at." So he essentially helped save her saved her life,
Wow.
and we talked about what it was like for him being her caregiver while she was sick, and he was like, "I couldn't do it.
Mm,
It was hard." And I was like, "That's okay." And
mhm.
he was like he had, like, a lot of guilt and remorse, and I was like, "You know what? I was only between the ages of, like, 14 and 17 when my mom was fighting cancer, and I couldn't be her caregiver as much as I tried, as much as we tried." That is a hard fucking role to fill. When you become your mother, your partner, your child's caregiver, it is very, very, very hard boots to fill.
Mhm.
And to everyone who is listening and who is out there and who is a caregiver to people in their lives or in their careers, more fucking power to you. You are a saint. You're a
Yeah.
gift. Like, just keep up the good work. And, like, as hard as it is to lose people and, like, fill those roles, it is so crucial. And yeah, I just give more people who are caregivers so much kudos because it's such a hard role to fill.
Yeah, to sit there and, like, try to be helping someone but have 0 control over anything has to, take a lot out of you, especially if
Yes.
you're a person who even wants to be a caregiver, is in that position, and you want to help, right? And you can't. So it's like just such another like mind fuck in the whole situation, I'm sure. And I'm so glad that Steph did come talk to us because she had been on the list, someone I had reached out to and hadn't really been able to like come back around in full circle, connect with yet, but talking to her, I feel like we learned a little bit more about how she kind of vets people and lets them kinda come into her life, and by lets them, I mean, like, they what's right comes around at the right time,
Yep.
it feels like for her, and I feel that same way, and I've been, not pushing things with guests and stuff on the podcast and try to give it some time, and yeah, I'll follow up because I know people are busy, but I also know if a no happens or if a reschedule happens and then we don't end up getting to it for a long time, I just have this belief that, like, the conversations happen here when they're supposed to, and I think they
Yep.
absolutely did with Steph because I actually talked with her today, and we were talking about a film that she put together last winter and is going to be premiering this winter. It's a short 15-minute film, but we were in talks of getting that shown in Truckee, and so working with, um, her ambassador from Tits Deep, who is here in Tahoe that I met this last winter at a Dames of Dirt uphill ski event, and the Dames of Dirt hopefully will be involved too, but yeah, getting an event put together to show her film and, a raffle and whatnot for Tits Deep, so if you all are listening and in the Tahoe and Truckee area, definitely keep your eyes out for that event that we're aiming for, like, mid-December right now, but yeah, all those details will be figured out here in the near future and put up on a calendar, and I'm just really excited to see this film because it's not just like it's not a survivor story from the person going through it, it's from her perspective and having lost a very close person to her and how she kind of turned to snowboarding with coping and, I haven't seen it, these are all things from her, but, I think it's just a different angle on some films that we have maybe seen before on this topic, and also what Tits Deep is about too is really targeting the audience that's under 40 because
Yes.
we get turned away a lot, so I think what she does and what Tits Deep does is really help provide resources and empowerment to the under 40 women to advocate for themselves and to learn how
Yes.
to do that, to go into a doctor's office with some confidence, the questions to ask, and how you might be navigating this when you want to have like, be preventative, and whether you have someone close to you or not who has been impacted by breast cancer, I think we all deserve the right to be
Yes.
listened to by our doctors, but our healthcare system's so fucked that we don't, and even when that's outside of just breast cancer, that's just our own health, right? We've talked about it before here, and it's just really, really hard in this day and age is our our United States medical system anyways to advocate for yourself. You get put
Yeah.
down and you don't get taken seriously, and also, especially as women, we're told a lot of things that this is normal, this is that, blah, blah, blah. I talked about it today with a friend with something else that she's got going on, autoimmune, and it's like, "Okay, this doctor says, like, no way, you're totally fine," but, like, that is not literally not what my blood work is saying.
Yeah.
So
And we know our bodies best,
ex
and to have a doctor be like, "You're wrong," is like, "Fuck you, dude. I'm inside this body. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth."
well, and it just makes you question yourself, like, if,
Yes, that too.
it's like gaslighting where you're like, "Well, am I? Maybe I am, being dramatic, or maybe it's not that bad," like, I think we deal with that enough, especially those of us who are already, like, pretty independent or something, or I don't know, you just, like you said, Amber, like, brush things off normally because of the societal things on us, but all this to say that everyone literally at Rome Fest was amazing, and I've talked to several people since, and everyone said this to, like, the vendor-wise, like, "Oh, we had the best neighbor," and I'm like, "No, we had the best neighbor." Like, "No, we had the best neighbor," and so I think it was just, like, that goes to like, speaks to literally how great everyone was and how much it meant to everybody because everyone was just so happy with, like, who they were next to and had great conversations and connections. I met a girl at Pitch Fest, actually. I actually put dangly earrings on, for the first
Ooh,
time in
is she?
ever,
Yes,
'cause I
bitch.
bought them at Pitch Fest from Alex of ABD Culture, who was at Rome Fest, and I saw her stuff there, but for some reason didn't put together that it was, like, actually her. I just thought this person was maybe selling, her jewelry or whatnot, because there were some vendors there that were, like, bike stores or something, and, selling other things that were not just their own. And yeah, I just didn't stop in, and then so I saw she had a, Boot Tan Fest hat on at Pitch Fest. I'm
Cute.
like, "You were at Rome, like, your outfit is Rome." She had, like, a Fast and
Yep.
Feral shirt on too. Um, but yeah, so I met her in person at Pitch Fest, and so she was saying the same thing, like, "Oh my god, my neighbor at Rome was so amazing, the best ever." And I'm like, "I That's what everyone is saying because we feel the fucking same." So I feel like no matter where we would have been put would have been amazing, but I do love that we were next to Jenny and Sierra, and the quicker girls next to us were awesome on the other side too,
Yes,
so
they were so
it's
sweet.
just overall so much community and connection and good things, and though Rome may not be available in the same way that it is now next year, I will still encourage everybody out there to follow This Is Rome, watch Rome events because they do plenty of other things as well, and we honestly just don't know what will happen with Rome Fest, so something could come up next year, so it may look different than it has before, but, it we don't know for sure that it's totally, totally over, so just keep watching for it, and I think following them in general too can help you connect to some other things that are maybe local to your area that are trying to accomplish the same goals of connection and
Yep.
inclusivity. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of that's buzzwords, right? But they are so real, and it really is what they created there, and it was just amazing to be able to be a part of, and I mean, like, broke down in tears several times throughout the weekend just randomly because I was just overwhelmed with, like, literally all the emotions of just being so grateful to be able to be there and experience it because it was literally fucking, like, energy through my bones and blood and just, again, overwhelming with all of the
Mhm.
things.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Can't
Well,
wait to do it again.
I know, right? We're gonna be keeping our eyes open, and I have to wrap it up before I do start crying of it all as I am coming down from all of the women, uh, awesome, amazing, badass things that have been happening in the last week, all the fests. So, yeah, that's our take, guys. It's stay tuned, keep watching out as we reconnect with some of the people we met at Rome Fest. This is definitely not the last you will hear of the event, but that will probably be the biggest, like, most in-depth that we go with it until
Yep.
next time.
Until next time.
Alright, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Bye.